August is always a time that you're gonna have a dip because people are like, let's just get into school.
I will say this though, for any listeners out there that are buyers in the market,
yes,
get off the couch
yes.
or come home from the lake. It's time to get on your horse and be a buyer in the market, because
yes.
all of a sudden, even if it's only for a handful of weeks, which it probably is, September 10, 11, 12 is when it kind of kicks back into gear after school starts. This could be the opportunity to not have to be one of a dozen offers on a property.
Absolutely true.
Which means you could actually offer a little bit less, or you could just offer a list price, get it closed.
List price?
What?
That's crazy.
So
you're a madman.
No,
that's really, really good. Please listen to that. If you are a buyer, you know someone who is a buyer and they have been discouraged and they have let off the gas pedal, this is the moment to get back in the market and find a property. I know of some right off the top of my head that are available right now and are great houses.
Yeah, just so last, before I kick it back over to you, just as far as some of the numbers, median active list price in the MLS right now is $415,000. The median...
That's like... I'm sorry.
We grew up in Spokane. What's going on here?
A year ago, we were like...
a month ago was $400,000.
So what's the
median sold is $361.
$361. Okay, that is $60,000 more than last year. Maybe at the beginning of last year, but still, that's a lot.
Which makes sense. That's 20%, right?
I know, it's nuts.
I mean, that's what the market has gone up. So
okay.
Anyway, you've got some interesting stuff for us. I think on the agenda today.
So here's the deal.
Before we get into your
please.
stuff, just really quick. High level, scratching the surface. If you're listening or watching us and you want more detail, you want an advisor to get on the phone with you, message us on the social media, call us, email us, whatever. Just want to offer that before we kick it over into what you're doing.
That's 509-62-HOUSE.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Okay. So I started down this road of talking about planning. Okay. So we do a few things here, right? We talk about the market. We talk about history. We talk about Spokane, things that are happening now, things that have happened in the past, all of those things. And then we talk about being a buyer, being a seller, getting loans, those kinds of things. But also, every once in a while, I like to touch on just living in your home. So not about selling, not about buying, but actually enjoying the biggest asset in your life. So
that's good.
Ultimately, I want to get to remodeling or reworking your master bedroom. That is what we call the primary bedroom. I was trying to change my verbiage on that. So primary bedroom. But as I started working on that, I realized, we kind of have to go a little bit a wider spectrum to talk about. So this is going to be a 2-part series, maybe even a 3-part series, not 100% sure.
Depends on how long-winded she gets.
That is correct. No. It depends on how often he interrupts me. No, I like the interruptions, baby. So we're going to talk about your primary bedroom and how best way to prepare to remodel it. But I want to rewind, and I want to talk about design styles and the different types of design styles, because that's a big part of when you make a decision to do your room. You kind of need to know what kind of style you want to go to. So I found a lot of this information. I'm going to just give credit where credit is due. Nick Lewis on YouTube. I got a lot of information from him, and then I did my own research and added and kind of got some more perspectives on these different design styles. So are you ready, Matthew?
And I am so stoked right now. It's ridiculous. Design styles.
Design styles. Here we go. Woo! So the first design style that we're going to talk about is traditional design. Now, traditional design.
That's my favorite one.
I will ask you at the end what you think your favorite is. I'm very curious. But taking cues from the 1800s and 1900s, that is
not advised in most situations.
Stop. Actually, 18th and 19th centuries. So, that's not exactly the same as the 1900s and 1800s, but that's 1700s and 1800s.
That's very true.
That's correct. So, if you think about a Queen Anne chair, do you know what a Queen Anne chair is?
Is it kind of like a throne?
Yeah, yes, like a baby throne, and it's got the buttons in the back, and it's got the rounded stuff, and it's got legs that are kind of ornate, and that kind of a thing.
I've got a basic
that is
idea.
kind of, if you think of that, that is kind of like a great way to think about traditional style.
Okay.
It's the Queen Anne chair. Okay. It's kind of considered a little old-fashioned. Okay, like a lot of people might think it's old-fashioned. You get a lot of beige, a lot of cream. They incorporate classic art and antiques. There's detailed woodworking. There's carved moldings, so a lot of woodwork and carved moldings.
I'm starting to form the picture of this place, like maybe like box beams in a.
Yes. That would absolutely be part of it. Now, obviously, we're talking about more than just the structural thing of a house. We're talking about how you decorate that house.
But woodworking is both structural and decor.
Correct. So old homes in Spokane would tend to lead a lot of people to this design style.
Is this different than Victorian? Like, because
Victorian is
like a Victorian
similar.
era.
Yes, okay. I think you would consider it very, very similar. I think of Victorian being just a little more floofy, but yes, you're going to be...
Victorian is a floofy traditional.
Yeah, let's say that. All right, the next design style is farmhouse. Now, here's a cool thing, is that I looked up the farmhouse style, and let me tell you all the different types of farmhouses.
Oh, there's more than one.
Well, if you start thinking about it, you go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. You have the French farmhouse. So you got roosters and, like those old French things. When you think about like a farmhouse in France, it's definitely very different than a farmhouse in the United States. So you have farmhouse, French farmhouse, Scandinavian farmhouse, rustic, modern, coastal, colonial, and traditional, and industrial. So all kinds of possibilities for farmhouse. We're going to just talk about a couple. So we're going to talk about traditional farmhouse. That's going to be your more rustic farmhouse. Okay. So you're going to have barn doors, shiplap, butcher block, farmhouse sink. That's very popular these days. A modern farmhouse is going to be similar to that. However, there's going to be more modern lighting, a little bit more modern furniture. They might have, a barn door, but they might like paint it with a high gloss of something. But generally speaking, you're talking very comfortable, natural, and rural lifestyle farmhouse. Boho or bohemian. Boho, yeah, he's not into design that much, but it's a big thing right now. So this borrows a lot from like a Moroccan style. It by its nature, it has a lack of structure. These are some things I looked up, and I got these: lack of structure and carefree layers of pattern, texture, and color. Because of the carefree attitude, they don't have a lot of hard and fast rules. I just thought this, as I was reading through this, I asked my kids, hey, what's the name of that place in Lego Movie? It's Cloud Cuckoo Land, where there are no rules. That's kind of bohemian style a little bit, where, for instance, when you have hard and fast rules, like minimalism has absolutely hard and fast rules about what is and what is not, where this is very different. So you're going to have an eclectic mix of colors, patterns, textures. It's has a very relaxed, but it's globally inspired. So you're going to find cool. That's when I say Moroccan, right? It's going to have that global influence. Okay. Big bold patterns in your rugs, plants, and always funky, unique elements. These are the kind of people that are going to find a craftsman, and they get that from that craftsman, and nobody else is going to have that exact same thing in their home.
Sure. Okay.
So it's laid back, funky vibe.
I totally can picture this.
Yeah, it's I kind of like it. Then you have industrial, okay? And this is interesting because some of these have real interesting histories to it. And this is born out of old barns, warehouses, industrial buildings, churches being converted into living spaces. So when we're talking about Nadine Woodward making more commercial spaces into residential, you're probably going to see a lot of industrial design inside of those buildings because it kind of works because it's very much a factory feel. It's got concrete, black wrought iron. Raw iron is very popular. Dark woods, brickwork, and the more distressed, the better. You're going to have distressed and reclaimed wood is also very popular in this design style. And you keep structural elements exposed. So your ceiling is exposed. You've got your you can see your venting up there. All of that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah, you like that.
I like that kind.
Yes, you do.
I do like that kind.
Now, minimalist design style. This is function first. Absolutely. If it doesn't serve a purpose, you get rid of it. It is very stripped down. It's actually more like a way of thinking than not. It's not just a design style. It's kind of a lifestyle, very much so.
Sure, because you can't survive in that design style if you don't have a similar lifestyle.
You have to have a mindset because you don't have a lot of stuff. The Queen Anne chair with all its curves, a minimalist would say you can get the same thing with the same function with much cleaner lines. So it's simple on the eye and easier to clean, right? Like it's just a simpler version of that. Your space can look bigger on smaller budgets, so it can be a good thing for people who...
Smaller spaces? Or just have less money to spend?
Both.
Oh.
Yeah. And it can be a tad bit boring because is art necessary? I don't know. So there's some...
Maybe minimalist art.
Maybe so. Maybe so. It's an interesting... And when you really get into super minimalist stuff, it's pretty intense. So that's...
Ethan would love that.
He might. There's a lot of discipline involved in it.
Then he
what do you think,
for it too
Ethan?
much.
You're disciplined enough for it? All right. We've got a few more. We've got 5 more here. Okay.
All right.
So Scandinavian design, functionality, simplicity, and craftsmanship. And I thought about this and I realized, this design style is literally the descendants of the Vikings. And we just went to a museum where they talked about the Vikings and what was one of the most important things. They had helmets, but what was on the helmets?
How many villages they pillaged?
Oh, for heaven's sake.
The jewels.
Unique craftsmanship. They realized
I was going to get quizzed on
I'm like, honey, we read all the stuff, but one of the main things in their society was craftsmanship. So you're not just going to have a sword, you're going to have a sword that has such ornate design to it.
Okay.
So it's I just think that's super, super interesting that those two things are connected. Very light toned woods, so ash and beech wood, earthy tones. The textiles that they use would be wool, linen, leather, and glass. So obviously a lot of people know Scandinavian design from IKEA, original type. IKEA definitely does a lot of different things. They've got a little bit of modern, but they have a lot of Scandinavian, and they even have some boho there as well. Now, next one. Mid-century modern design. One of my favorites. I do love it. The style is from the 50s and 60s. Here's the interesting history. Remember I said that some of these had some cool history. This happened right after World War II, when we had made serious advancements in technology, and those advancements gave us new materials, and manufacturing became now available to these designers. So everything was traditional design, everything. And it was made, one at a time, right?
Right,
now,
because it was a guy making it in his workshop.
Correct. So it changed the game completely. So we started using plastics and vinyls, and we were able to mold those plastics into tables with the pedestals and the scoop chairs and all those kinds of things. So what they did is they took that traditional design, that Queen Anne chair, and they stripped it down, right? And they made it to be able to be manufactured for the masses, okay? Something that exemplifies this whole look is the Ames chair, which if you know what the Ames... If I showed it to you, you would for sure know.
I've heard of it.
Those of you who used to watch Frasier, that was like his special chair that he loved, that his dad kind of displaced. Beautiful. It's got wood around the back, and then the cushion on the front, and then it's got an ottoman. And you can also see a little bit of space influence in a lot of the stuff because this. When
you say space, you mean like outer space?
Outer space, like have definitely like you feel like some things could be inside of.
Sure, like an egg chair.
Yes, exactly. It's a really beautiful design period, and it was. Bringing out the best in a lot of designers. Like, they were getting really into making furniture. All right. Coastal design. So this is the beach house look. So you got linen, big windows, and lots of light. Your colors are white, blue, and a little bit of beige, because they're trying to represent surf, sand, and sky.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so you're also going to have, like, seashells.
I mean, these kind of designs fit into their area.
Yes, they do.
Like, having a beach house in the middle of town would be weird.
I think so. Some people will do it, but it's also called a Hamptons look, because in New York, the Hamptons, people go to the Hamptons, but I believe it's all close to the water.
Sure.
So some people you could get away with it, but I would not be comfortable in it. I would feel uncomfortable,
like, if you're on
not
one
relaxed.
of our local lakes, you could probably get away with it.
You might get away with it. You can also incorporate what I would call nautical design, and that would add rope, nautical art, and instruments. But technically, I think it's its own design style, but I think that it kind of incorporates
There's enough
nicely.
similarity there.
Yeah.
You can combine it on this
I just
show.
thought it was interesting when they said it represents surf, sand, and sky. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, the color palette that's there. So then you have the last two. We have glam design.
Glam.
Glam is luxury, glitz, glam, gold, silver.
Glam stands for glamorous.
Faux fur, marble, velvet, anything that feels expensive, plush, dramatic, bold. These are all words that kind of, you take that Queen Anne chair, you make it bright purple, you add some white faux fur and a chandelier on a side light, on a side table with the baby chandelier on a gold table. That is your glam design.
Hard pass.
Yeah, no, it's not my thing. But I do know some people that really pull it off super well.
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes it is personality, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this one is definitely not our personality. All right, last one, Zen. Zen design, bamboo. It's light and space. I thought that was very interesting. It's about space. Natural wood, silks, basic. It's very basic functionality. It has a little bit of minimalism in there. It's relaxing. It's meditative. And you do not want to distract, not too much to distract you from a meditative state. It has minimal elements. It's near monastic in its rejection of clutter. And it's visually balanced and appealing. So that is your Zen. So those are the design styles. That's the start of our talk about redesigning your primary bedroom. And we will be back next week with that. You all
Thanks,
have
everybody.
A wonderful day.
Have a great hot Saturday afternoon. We'll see you next week.
Bye.